Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this week's reading vlog. In this week's reading vlog I'm going to be reading books with blue on the cover, so that could be a blue font or just blue all over, or like a blue object on the cover. As long as it's got some blue in the cover, then it's going to be in this vlog. So I've got 4 books that I want to read for this reading vlog, and I'm going to run through those books with you now, and then obviously I'll dive into reading updates as and when. So first one, we've got Ward D by Freida McFadden. I have this one checked out at the library, and this is one of Freida McFadden's books that I obviously have not read yet. I'm really looking forward to diving into this one. Freida McFadden is an author that I'm trying to make my way through her backlist, and this is obviously a mystery thriller, and this one is actually set in a psychiatric ward, hence the name Ward D. It's set on a psychiatric ward. That's all I know going into it. I don't want to know too much more than that, and this is the one that I'm going to be reading first, and I'll obviously update you once I've started reading that. Then we have The Thrashers by Julie Soto. This has just arrived through the door just before I started filming this, so I thought I would include it in this video. This one is, I think, a young adult book, and it is again another mystery thriller. I don't know too much about this one, and I don't want to know too much about it, but I'm really excited to be reading a new Julie Soto book. So I've got 2 mystery thrillers, and then I have 2 contemporary stories. So I have The Forever Rule by Carrie Ann Ryan. This is book 1 in the Cage Family series. I'm really looking forward to diving into a new series from Carrie Ann Ryan. She is an author that I have been slowly making my way through her backlist, and I definitely want to read more from her, so looking forward to diving into this one. And then the last one I have is Beneath the Stars by Emily McIntyre. So Emily McIntyre wrote the Never After series, which is one of my favourite series. That is a dark romance series with reimaginings of Disney stories, with the villain as the hero of the, or heroine of the story. And this one I think is her first series that she wrote prior to the Never After series, and is a small town romance series, and this one is book 1. It's the Sugar Lake series. This is obviously the indie cover, but this series has been since picked up by a traditional publisher, and they have got new covers, so I'll put the new cover on screen here so you can see what the new cover looks like. I really like the new covers and also the originals. I think I will obviously be buying the new copies, because these are obviously out of print now, but I do have this one that I picked up off of Vinted quite a while ago, and I really want to dive into this one because I'm up to date on the Never After series, and these are the only other books that I've not read by Emily McIntyre that she's published so far. She does have a new one coming out later in the year, which I'm excited for, but I really want to have read this series before that one comes out. So they are the 4 books that I am going to be reading for this video. I'm really excited to get into these, and as I say, I'm starting with Ward D, so as soon as I have read more into that one, I will be giving you some updates on my initial thoughts. I've finished reading Ward D by Freida McFadden, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars. This one's definitely not my favourite book from this author, but I did still have a good time reading this. So in this one we are following medical student Amy, who is going through different rotations, studying the different medical specialties, and she is up on the kind of psychiatric specialty, and for this rotation she is going to be spending a night on a mental health unit, following patients who have things such as schizophrenia and things like that, and she is quite apprehensive about going into this ward. And she goes into this ward, and things are not what they seem, and they kind of become trapped in this ward through various different circumstances, and as I say, some of the patients are not exactly who they seem to be. We get to see Amy's childhood friend, who is in this, who is on this ward and has been admitted, and we do get past and present timelines as well, which again is not always my favourite, but I didn't mind it so much in this one. I felt like it worked well for this story, but it's definitely not my favourite writing style. What I will say for this one, whilst I didn't necessarily love the story of this one, I'm not sure if I liked the setting of the ward. I'm not sure if that was necessarily the best choice, and also the kind of reveal at the end wasn't the most surprising to me. But what I will say for Freida McFadden's writing is, as always, she does do a very good job of hooking you into the story and making you want to keep reading. I did actually stay up later to finish this one because I wanted to find out what was going to happen. Although the payoff wasn't the best and wasn't necessarily what I was hoping for, it was still that I still had a really good, enjoyable reading experience. Like, I enjoyed the process of reading it to find out what was going to happen. But yeah, overall, this is definitely not my favourite from this author, but a solid read. As I say, if you're looking to dive into this author's backlist of books, which she has a ton, this is probably not the one that I would recommend. But if you are working your way through her backlist like I am, it's a solid read. It's fine, but nothing particularly memorable. I want to do some reading updates for you. So I have finished The Forever Rule by Carrie Ann Ryan, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars. This is definitely not my favourite from this author, but I think it was a good solid start to her new series. So this is book 1 in the Cage family series. So we are introduced to a whole new family. We have one of the characters, Ford Cage, is one of the brothers, and he has had his own book in one of the other series, which I haven't yet read, but his book is, let me just look, his book is Best Friend Temptation, which is part of the Montgomery Inc. Legacy series, which I haven't yet got to, but he has been featured before. So this one, at the beginning of this paperback edition, there is the prequel little novella that has been released for the start of this series, which is called Before I Knew, and the prequel is available to download for free, I believe, or it has been in the past. I'm not sure if it still is, but I'll leave it linked down below. That is the prequel that kind of sets up this series. So in this book, we are following Blakely and Aston, and these two meet when Blakely is accidentally added to the family group chat in error. Her number is like 1 digit different to one of the brothers, so she accidentally gets added to this family group chat. And the Cage family is quite a wealthy, relatively wealthy family, and is quite has its own business called Cage Enterprises. And so when it is revealed that she is accidentally added to this chat, the brothers are concerned that obviously she might leak things that have been discussed in the chat. So Aston, as the oldest sibling, is kind of tasked with kind of reaching out to her and making sure that nothing is revealed, and they strike up conversations via message, and then they agree to meet, and the prequel ends when they end up meeting at this like gala type thing, and they end up dancing together, and Blakely's boss sees her dancing with Aston, and he ends up firing Blakely because he thinks that she is like sharing company secrets. So she is out of a job, and then at the end of the prequel, Aston's father passes away, and some secrets about his past end up getting revealed, and so he ends up no longer communicating with Blakely, and kind of he's supposed to call her and then he doesn't. And so the start of this book starts like 3 or 4 months after the events of the prequel. Blakely is still out of a job. She's been looking for a job for those 3 months since she got fired, and her ex-boss has kind of almost like blocking her from getting any future jobs, until she gets hired by Aston's brother James at Cage Enterprises, and there she is reintroduced to Aston. And then Aston has been kind of coping with the passing of his father and dealing with all that kind of entails, and at his father's will reading, it is revealed that his father actually had a secret life. He had like a whole another family. So the Cage family is kind of introduced to siblings that they never knew about. I think there's 7 Cage brothers, and then the other family has like 4 or 5 siblings, so it's quite a big family. And one of the conditions of their father's will is that they have to have a monthly dinner where at least 5 of the members of the family are present in order for them to gain their inheritance. And then obviously Blakely is now working at the company, and it is Aston and Blakely's romance. I didn't necessarily love the romance in this one. I felt like because this is the first book in a new series, I felt like we spent a lot of time introducing the other characters, which are obviously going to have future books. I think so far there are currently 4 books planned in this series, but I'm not sure if there's going to be more, but there's definitely going to be at least 4. And we are obviously spending a lot of time being introduced to those characters and the family relationships, which I think did detract a little bit from the romance in this one. So overall, I didn't love the romance in this one, but I am definitely excited to check out more books in this series. I've also found out that quite a lot of Carrie Ann Ryan's books have been added to the Audible Plus catalogue. Not all of them, but a fair amount of them. And this series, the first 2 books, because they're the only 2 out so far, they are on Audible Plus. So if you want to listen to the audiobooks, which I didn't for this first one, but I definitely will be for the second one, they are available on there to listen to. And then the next book I've picked up is The Thrashers by Julie Soto, and I am probably about halfway through this one, and I am really unsure as to whether I'm going to continue on reading this or not. I can't quite decide whether I want to DNF it or not. The reviews on this are pretty popular. Like, a lot of people seem to be raving about it. On Goodreads, a lot of people are saying quite positive things, but I am not sure if I'm loving this. So this is a young adult mystery thriller, and at the beginning of this book, I will say there is trigger warning for suicide in this book. I don't know if it's mentioned in the blurb. Yeah, it isn't actually mentioned in the blurb on here, but there is suicide mentioned, and it is mentioned in the prologue. So in this one we have, they are at school, and there is a girl called Emily who ends up committed suicide at the beginning of this book. And it is revealed through her diary that the police have that she was being bullied, or so she said. And the group of people that are accused of bullying her are known as the Thrashers, and there's I think 5 of them in the group, and the kind of leader of the group is called Zach Thrasher, hence the name The Thrashers. And the story follows Jodie, who kind of she's part of the group, but almost seems like almost like on the periphery of the group. She's not quite fully in, even though she is very close friends with Zach. Emily seems to think that they had a friendship. It's unclear from Jodie's perspective how much is true. And things are being slowly revealed, and I can't quite put my finger on what's going on with this book, and I'm not sure where it's going to go. So yeah, it's one of those, I'm not hating it, but I'm also not loving it. And it's one of those where I feel like I'm not having a great time reading it, but I also almost don't want to DNF it because I am intrigued to find out what's going to happen with this book. So I don't know, but that's kind of my initial thoughts on it. I will update you when I either decide to DNF or if I do continue on reading it. I feel like I maybe am going to push through, but potentially this is only going to be a 3-star read, which is a shame because the previous 2 books I've read have been 3 stars, so I really don't want another 3-star read, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens, and I will update you as soon as I have more thoughts on it. So I'm here to give you my final thoughts on The Thrashers by Julie Soto, and I ended up only giving this one 2 stars. I kind of regret continuing on to read this because I really should have DNF'd it. I did not enjoy this one. I just feel that I wasn't invested in this story, and I the mystery element of this was really, really weak. And I feel as well that if you've read other young adult mystery thrillers, a lot of elements that you see in other popular books kind of feature in here. We kind of have that element where a character has died and there is kind of the hint of kind of that the ghost of that character is haunting the people that have been left behind, and I don't always love that, and I feel like in this one it didn't work. As I say, the writing in here was not the most engaging. Like, I did continue reading it, but more because I felt obliged to finish it for this video rather than because I was invested in this story and the characters. This one, again, it just didn't work for me. I don't really have much more to say than this, other than I would not recommend this book. And yeah, I think if you've read other young adult thrillers, then this is very reminiscent of those, but doesn't really have anything that I would recommend for it, unfortunately. So I'm here to wrap up the last of my blue books, and I finished reading Beneath the Stars by Emily McIntyre, and I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. So I liked this one, but it's definitely not my favourite from Emily McIntyre. I believe this was her debut book that she wrote well before the Never After series, and I think you can definitely see a remarkable improvement between her writing of this compared to the Never After series. I think the Never After series is considerably better. I had a lot more fun reading that series compared to this book, although this one is still a solid read. So in this one we are following Alina and Chase, and this one is a second chance romance, kind of childhood friends to lovers romance, and we follow these two characters. Now the first half of this book is told from when they are children, so it's all kind of past events that have happened. We see them when they first meet, when I think Alina is 11 and Chase, I think he's about 5 years older than her. So we get to meet them when they are very young, and initially they meet because they are next door neighbours. Chase and his younger sister Lily move into the town of Sugar Lake, and they meet, and initially Lily and Alina are friends, and Chase is like the older, broody brother that's kind of in the background, but she is definitely, even at that young age, attracted to him. And as I say, we spend a lot of time in their past, and both of them have things in their past that are quite traumatic. Chase's sister Lily goes on a journey with that involves drugs, and she ends up disappearing. And Alina's father is, her mother actually sadly passes away, and her father definitely struggles with alcohol addiction as kind of a result of her mother's passing. And as I say, we get to see quite a lot of their past before we skip back to present day, where they are working together. Chase is back in town and he is working at his family's construction firm, and Alina is kind of like the office manager at the construction company, and so they have to kind of work together and also kind of work out their differences from things that happened in the past, and they do come back together. I liked this one, but I feel like we spent a bit too much time in the past for my personal taste. This is obviously supposed to be a romance, and I would really like to have seen more of their present day romance, because this very much feels like quite like the beginning of their journey, and I would have liked to have seen a lot more, because it's not until right up until the end of the book that these two actually do get together, and I personally would have loved to have seen more of that after of them being together. So overall this was a solid read, but not my favourite from this author. I do definitely want to read the other books from this series. This is the original indie cover, which I do absolutely love. I do really like the new traditionally published covers as well, but there is something about this indie cover that is absolutely stunning. I only have the first one in this kind of edition, but I would love to have the others, but they are sadly now out of print. So overall for this reading vlog, I haven't had the best reading experience with these blue books. So I read Ward D, which I gave I think 3 stars to, Beneath the Stars, which is this one, which I gave 3.5 stars to, The Thrashers, which I gave 2 stars, and The Forever Rule by Carrie-Anne Ryan, which I also only gave 3 stars to. So I feel like I've had a lot of really mediocre books recently, so I definitely want a really good read. So if you have any recommendations for a really good book that you have loved recently, please do let me know, and I will see you guys in my next reading vlog.